Hey folks, Roland Martin here, broadcasting live from Houston, Texas, on today's Roland Martin Unfiltered for April 1st, 2019. Entertainment community shocked and stunned of the murder of Grammy-nominated rapper Nipsey Hussle yesterday in Los Angeles. Tributes have been pouring in from all across the world. Police are closing in on his killer. We will talk to the rapper My Son, who knew him well as Jasmine Koenig, a journalist in Los Angeles, the latest on the ground there. Also, folks, Justin Fairfax, Lieutenant Governor of Virginia, his accuser talks to Gayle King. Fairfax releases results of lie detector tests performed by the same person who was hired by the lawyer for Brett Kavanaugh's accuser, who happens to also be the lawyer for Vanessa Tyson. We'll unpack all of that for you. Drama in Chicago as the Chicago police protest Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx for her dropping charges against Jussie Smollett. Black Lives Matter Chicago, they launched their own protest against those cops for going after Kim Foxx. Also, folks, a lawsuit in Mississippi charges, this is a stunning story here, that a Mississippi sheriff was running a fatal jail and racist roadblocks against African Americans. We'll explain more. Also, we were in Los Angeles this weekend for the 50th anniversary, the 50th NAACP Image Awards. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Tom Joyner, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, all win top honors. We'll also show you folks who we talked to on the carpet as well. Folks, it is a jam-packed show. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go.
Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling. It's on go, y'all. It's Roland Martin, Rolling with Roland now. He's funky, he's fresh, he's real, the best, you know he's Roland Martin now. Martin.
Folks, shock all over the world as Grammy-nominated rapper Nipsey Hussle gunned down in front of his store on Crenshaw in Los Angeles. Not only was he a rapper, he also was an entrepreneur owning several businesses there. He was gunned down yesterday afternoon in front of his store around 3:20 p.m. Los Angeles times. Folks, tributes have been pouring in all across the world. Folks in Los Angeles are stunned because he was someone who never left the community, who hired people in the community as well. Right now is Jasmine Koenig. She is an activist journalist from Los Angeles. Jasmine, give us a sense of how the community is responding to the tragic death of Nipsey Hussle.
Everyone is absolutely devastated, Roland. I mean, for a certain generation, this is like their Tupac, right? This is like their Biggie. You know, one of the things that's most striking about Nipsey Hussle and his rise, particularly for those of us in Los Angeles, is that we remember seeing him on Crenshaw and Slauson. We remember seeing him, selling his CDs and selling other things and getting his hustle on, hence the name, until he rose to fame. But he never left, right? So when you talk about Vector 90, which is the creative workspace in South LA, when you talk about he owned multiple businesses in South LA, and he did hire people directly from the community. He also gave a lot back to the local schools as well. I know he gave one whole fifth grade class brand new tennis shoes. He gave all the students new tennis shoes. And so understandably, people are devastated right now. I know I'm in my car because I was recently on Crenshaw, and, there are tributes all over Crenshaw. Like there's, people are writing his name on buildings. I'm sure this evening there's going to be another vigil for him. But this is something that has impacted the South LA community in a very, very big way.
What is the latest with finding his killer or killers?
Right. So there's a lot of speculation out there right now. The police are continuing their investigation. As of right now, they are looking for an African-American male who is believed to have at least known him or known someone to be able to get that close to Nipsey Hussle to commit the shooting, to commit the murder. Because remember, Nipsey was one of 3 people that were shot yesterday. And so that continues. There's a lot of chatter on social media, but at the end of the day, the investigation still continues. And there's a lot of pressure on the LAPD with this investigation because, many people have not forgotten the death of Biggie, right? Many people are skeptical of the Los Angeles Police Department. So you hear a lot of conspiracy theories out there, and there understandably is a lot of eyeballs on this. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens. What I'm very clear about is that, the person who did this probably would want to turn themselves into the police because the hood's not happy right now, and that's real talk. I mean, this was someone who crossed a lot of boundaries just in terms of, reaching multiple people in the community, young and old, white and black, all different age groups. And so, there is something to be said about, community justice versus, the police. So I'm sure that this person is aware that they are wanted. They are probably hiding somewhere, hopefully not in our community. But the investigation goes on, and, right now people are just mourning. Lots of tributes from the mayor, local politicians here in Los Angeles. Again, he wasn't just a rapper, like he was a business owner. He was intricately involved in our community, so he worked very closely with the city of Los Angeles and with other groups. And so understandably, a lot of people out here are mourning him.
All right, Jasmine Koenig, we surely appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Right now, I want to go to the rapper My Son, who knew Nipsey well. My Son, how you doing, brother?
Roland, how you doing, man?
I was talking to Tamika Mallory earlier. You're a very close friend, and we were talking about the fact that just a number of people, folks like yourself and The Game and Snoop, I mean, the tears that have been flowing from folks in the hip hop community over this tragic shooting.
Yeah, Nip was a rare spirit, Roland, man. He was not only just an entrepreneur or a rapper, he was so genuine, and you can tell he was here for a purpose, man. And it hurts when the purpose was to uplift his community, to uplift the culture itself, to empower, to educate, and to see him gunned down in the vestibule of business that he opened up in his community was so disheartening to me, man.
And talk about that. He could have easily left. He could have easily just left.
Yeah, but that wasn't it, man. If you watch countless of interviews since the first interview that you see in it, man, it was about empowering and educating the people where he was from. He understood, the pitfalls we had to deal with, that we come from marginalized communities. He understand that we have been poisoned against each other. He grew up in the gang culture, and he wanted to change the narrative of what gangs represented. He wanted to change the narrative of what our communities look like. So he understood in order to empower, they can't be what they can't see. And he wanted these young kids to see an entrepreneur, see somebody that came from where they came from, and let them know it was possible, man. So he refused. He was one of those people that said, we ain't trying to leave the community. We trying to rebuild the community.
My Son, how do we heal? How do we move? How do we move beyond this?
I think we don't move beyond it. I think we move through it. We have to go through this. There's a lot of trauma that we dealing with, and we've marched. Roland, me and you have been at numerous marches, man, where the police have killed us, and we march for justice. And I think this is a time that we hold ourselves accountable, especially us in the hip hop community, us in the black community, us as young hip hop artists, young individuals. We hold ourselves accountable and say, this is a time we march for unity. We can't let Nip's death be in vain. I've been on a conference with a lot of other rappers, Meek Mill, Game, Tip, and we've all realized that this can't just end with R.I.P. to Nipsey and we go home after his funeral. This has to be a moment in which we stop kings from killing kings, man. Our young people don't value each other's lives, and we understand it's systemic and we understand where it comes from. But at this point, we have to utilize this time to be able to empower and teach and show each other how to love each other.
I'm having some technical issues here for folks. That's why you're only hearing my voice, and so I'm trying to get this prepared. My son, last question for you. You talked about in terms of the trauma. I was visiting my high school today, and I was talking to some of those students there, and that's what we are seeing. We're seeing young black kids, unfortunately, in this generation. If you ask them how many of their classmates have they seen killed, this isn't like one or two. You're talking about 10, 20, 30, and it goes beyond Chicago. And so do you believe that that sure, people don't, we talk about black on black crime, but we have to address this evil. We have to address this virus that is in our community because it is taking literally the brothers who could reach next generation to sort of end this sort of stuff. Your thoughts?
And I think you're exactly right, man. I've always been criticized for the marches that we do. Oh, y'all always march against this, but y'all don't march when when we killing each other in the projects and when we doing this and that. And and my response has always been, unfortunately, until we end what's going on in the community, until we end poverty, poverty equals violence. But when you look at someone like Nipsey and how he was viewed amongst all his peers in the world, just understanding what he meant to this culture, I think we have a very, very, very important moment right now because Nipsey wasn't someone who was engaged in street activity. He was someone who had evolved from that and was showing us how to do better. So we have to look at that and understand this is a moment for us to identify that trauma and to deal with that trauma because his face and what he meant to the culture is so big that now we can galvanize behind that reality, behind what is going on in our communities. We visibly can see how someone who definitely did not deserve to die, definitely the way he died, was killed, and we have to stand up and speak out against that.
All right, then, my son, we surely appreciate it. Thank you so very much. I want to introduce my panel, Johanna LeBlanc, National Security and Foreign Affairs Legal Analyst, Michael Brown, former Vice Chair of the DNC Finance Committee, Reverend Shane Harris, the People's Alliance for Justice. Michael, I want to go to you. How do we speak to that issue in terms of, as Jasmine said, this reminds this new generation of how our generation felt about Tupac, and we're still having to contend with this issue of violence in our communities.
I think what your previous guest just mentioned, and hello, by the way, Roland, I hope you're having a good time in H-Town. I think what he talked about is exactly right. Until we fix, there's something in kind of, well, as you know, it's called wraparound services. It's not just about, building a community center. That's important. It's not just about community policing. That's important. It's not about making sure that we have proper nutrition values and stuff for our children in communities. That's just one of the pieces. There's so many different pieces of the puzzle that have to be put together. And then when you can eliminate some of those ills in our community, then folks don't feel that they have to resort to violence and crime.
And your thoughts on this, Johanna?
Yeah, so I've been saying this for, good evening, Roland Martin. It's an honor to be on your show today. But I've been saying this for a while, right? I think public policies are essential in order to move our society and our communities forward. However, the mind and the hearts of men must also change. We need to take this moment to have some kind of internal evaluation as to what do we really value, right? As my co-panelist indicated, it's good that we're advocating for clean air, right? For police accountability, right? It's good that we're advocating for the eradication of some of the systemic issues that exist in America, but that alone is not sufficient. We also need to look into our hearts and our minds and to figure out how we can live in this society in unity and such.
But Mike, we do have to deal with this reality. That is, and also, so for the folks, we have to make whatever switch necessary. And so, drop issue. Guess what? You got to go to Plan B, sometimes Plan C. So now we are having to broadcast via the iPhone. Michael, Jamel Hill sent a tweet out that I thought was really important, where she said, when we're going to have the tough conversations. We're also going to have to deal with lack of education, lack of jobs. John Hope Bryant, founder of Operation Hope, he often says that, and this level of violence in communities with a credit score of 700 or above. And this is a reality that is deeply embedded in our society.
You know, Roland, it's interesting, and my grandmother would roll over if she hears me say what I'm about to say. But I also think we got, and this is from someone who has a college education, has a law degree. My sister has a law degree. My father had a law degree. My mother had an advanced degree. I mean, so I've been around education, understand the importance of it. But we've also gotten, I think, so entrenched in making sure we get kids prepared to go to college. And for kids that want to go to college, that is exactly the right path. But what about the majority of kids that don't want to go to college? We have lost our focus relative to vocational schools and trade schools, which really help folks have a real career and make real money. And so when you take money out of the community relative to those kind of trade and vocational schools, where do young people that don't work in a classroom, that the classroom isn't for them? What happens for folks like that? So we have to change our priorities and our vision and our mission, and not just forget about the kids that don't want to go to college for a variety of reasons.
Look, this is about us really being honest about what's going on. There's a fundamental issue that is taking place in the communities, in Black communities across this country, where violence is the first option. There are people right now who are probably saying, here you go with this whole idea. But we have to be honest about this, that a person makes a decision to pick that gun up and gun somebody down. Even if it's a question of, well, I had a grudge. How do we also begin to deal with that? Begin to deal with mental illness. I mean, this is simply something that beyond Nipsey Hussle being gunned down, individuals and 2 other people being shot, but we see this in other communities across the country, and it's not just about praying our way through. We have to look at this in a holistic way.
Yes, I think you made a very valid comment earlier, Roland. You indicated that there's a correlation between poverty and crime, right? When a person lives in a society where they don't have anything to look forward to, crime becomes a viable option. If I don't know where my next meal is going to come from, why do I care about the future, right? So I think that, yes, individuals have to be held accountable for their individual actions. However, we have to ensure that our societies have systems in place to provide vocational programs, provide mental illness assistance to those who may have mental issues, right? To ensure that society is safe for all of us. Because what happened to this young man is not an isolated incident. It could happen to my sister, it could happen to my brother, or it could happen to any of our members of family. So this is an issue that as a society, we need to talk about and figure out a way to resolve some of these, really challenging, complex, and multifaceted issue.
Conflict resolution is something that is real. When I spent 6 years in Chicago, you had Black mental health experts who really were talking about that, how this has to be something that is in every single school, in every single community group. So that way, Michael, as a person who's growing up, this is a part of who they are, as opposed to violence being the way to end any problem.
And as Johanna just mentioned, and she's exactly right, when you talk about not appreciating the consequences of picking up that weapon and understanding what happens after that. Because keep in mind, if you have a job and a family and care about going to the party on Friday night or taking your kids to a movie, you're less likely to do that. Not only are you not going to hang out in the street in the middle of the night because you got to get up for work the next day, but you're understanding that I got a family at home and I can't participate in that kind of stuff. So having a job, having a career, having a future, caring about your community makes all the difference in the world. And whether it's John Bryant, whether it's you, Roland, or whether it's hip hop stars from around the world, that needs to be the message: is understanding consequences of your actions.
People who talking about this story, and I think what we have to do is we have to continue the best as we can, offering not just prayers and encouragement, but really what we have to do is we have to be focused on dealing with the trauma that exists in our community that leads to these type of situations. All right, folks, let's now go to our next story, and that is dealing with Lieutenant Governor Justin Fairfax. Today on first and foremost, Justin Fairfax over the weekend released a statement where he said that he passed a lie detector test. Now, this came in advance of one of his accusers, Professor Vanessa Tyson, who spoke to CBS this morning, and Gayle King, describing the encounter.
You're there in the hotel, standing by the door, and then what happens?
He crosses the room, and kind of goes through his luggage, finds some paperwork, right? Which is what I assumed we were there for, and good. And then he crosses back around the bed and comes over to me, and I'm still by the door, and he kisses me.
And you think?
Well, I was surprised. I mean, for a variety of reasons, I was surprised. But it wasn't unwelcome per se.
You're saying it wasn't unwelcome, and you're kissing him, and you're okay with the kissing?
Yeah, I'm okay with kissing.
Yeah.
And he kind of gently takes my hands and guides me towards the bed. And we're still kissing, right? And it's completely consensual. He guides me to the bed, and then, he sits down on the bed. And what happens from there, we start kissing lying down, but on the very edge of the bed.
Okay, so I'm following. And then what happens?
We're kissing lying down, and we're kissing, so our heads are level with each other. And then it was like my neck didn't work.
What do you mean?
It was like I couldn't feel my neck. I couldn't hold my head up. He's using his hand on the back of my neck. And I still didn't know what was going wrong. I thought there was something wrong with my neck. And he's pushing down, and I couldn't hold my neck up. And I didn't know what was going on. I honestly didn't know what was going on. And then the next thing I know, my head is literally in his crotch. And I'm choking and gagging. And, I couldn't say anything because I'm choking and gagging.
Is he saying anything to you, Vanessa? Nothing.
There's nothing.
And what are you thinking at this moment?
To be honest, I'm in total shock.
Do you say anything to him? No.
I didn't know what to say. I was completely caught off guard. I was almost as if I was dumbstruck.
Now, in the interview, Vanessa Tyson also said that she would willingly participate in a public hearing before the Virginia legislature. Gayle King asked her, as it related to why not the law enforcement investigation, and she said that as a political science professor, she knows that public officials, that they get passes as a result of those type of investigations. As I said, Justin Fairfax, he voluntarily took and passed 2 polygraph tests that, quote, demonstrate that the accusations made against the lieutenant governor are false. His folks rejects a hearing as a political circus. I want to go to our panel here, Johanna LeBlanc and Michael Brown. And so I want to deal with the statement first made. Johanna, I'll start with you. So Tyson said she would participate in a legislative hearing before the Virginia legislature, but not file a complaint. We know that the Suffolk County DA in Boston has said, who is a woman, a black woman, has said that if Tyson filed a complaint, she would investigate. Does it make sense to say I'll participate in an impeachment hearing, but not a law enforcement investigation? Your thoughts?
Well, it's kind of questionable, right? But however, I'm sure that she has an attorney representing her, and that's probably the strategy that they've come up with in order to come up with a resolution as it pertains to this matter. So I'm not going to assess the credibility of her testimony or which route is.
No. I'm not asking you to assess her credibility. What I'm saying is, one of the process that she says she will participate in is a political one. Mm-hmm. The other process is a legal one. Mm-hmm. The statute of limitations hasn't run out. Mm-hmm. And so I'm trying to understand why blow off the legal investigation for the political one.
Yeah, obviously there are some questions, and people will definitely question her motive. Is this a political, do you have a political agenda, or do you want justice, right? Especially if statute of limitations have not run out. Why aren't you taking that path, right? But for whatever reason, she and her attorney have decided the path that we're going to take is the political route, which makes her story a little bit more questionable and makes people want to ask, do you have a political motive, or do you really care about justice?
Michael Brown.
And that's a legitimate concern. I mean, clearly we're now in an era where the pendulum may be now coming back a little bit. Not believing women, because we have to believe and we have to listen, and then let folks, whoever the court of opinion is, make the decision about credibility. But to not go to law enforcement first, I think certainly hurts credibility. Not that you still can't go to an impeachment hearing, but it just seems odd that you don't take the natural first step first, which is filing a police report. Then if you end up in front of an impeachment hearing, then you do. I think the other part that goes to credibility has a lot to do with when these allegations come up, especially for people. And again, I understand Me Too movement has just begun, and now obviously the pendulum had swung back the other way. But clearly, when people have been running for office for many, many years, have been on Front Street, and then allegations come out, it does not excuse the behavior. And if they are found to have committed these acts, all justice against them, and they should pay the price. But we have to try to figure out, and it's going to be difficult, certainly above my pay grade, Roland, on figuring out who that court of opinion is, because a lot of these cases do not end up in court anymore, especially if the statute of limitations has run. So what do we do? Who's the arbiter? Who decides? Because let's say that she does go to an impeachment hearing. Lieutenant Governor says he's done 2 lie detector tests, passed them both. So then what? We're still at the same he said, she said at the end of the day, unless there's some other kind of other proof.
And, that's one of the challenges, because I myself, I'm a women's rights advocate, right? I believe in women empowerment. But, are we going to go through due process, or are we going to allow the court of public opinion to decide who is guilty and who's not? And in some cases, as we know, when it comes to allegations of sexual harassment, once you've been accused of such type of act, your reputation is tarnished, whether or not you have been found guilty of this act in the court of law. And in most cases, as my co-panelist indicated, most of these cases don't even go to court. The court of public opinion makes a decision, and we go from there. And people lose their entire careers, their entire livelihood based on a mere accusation, right? And again, I'm not questioning the woman's credibility here, but I'm just making a general statement. Is a mere accusation sufficient for someone to lose their entire livelihood and all that they've worked so hard for? So we have to ask ourselves that question as a society.
My final comment on this is, I am still troubled with the insistence of saying I will participate in a political process, but not a legal one. When you have the DA, who is a black woman, who has said, if a complaint is filed, I will investigate, that is a legal process where somebody could be subpoenaed, where someone could not lie under oath, where you could actually investigate what happened. The Virginia legislature has no investigative powers here. The Virginia legislature has no jurisdiction to literally compel people who might have been there in Massachusetts on that night in question to testify. And so I'm just, and I would love to interview Dr. Tyson or her lawyers to get a better sense of that understanding. And in fact, what's also a very interesting note, the Fairfax team, so Deborah Katz is an attorney for Vanessa Tyson. And then apparently they hired the exact same lie detector tester that was used by the woman who accused Brett Kavanaugh, who was hired by Deborah Katz. So quite an interesting legal decision there by the Justin Fairfax campaign. We shall see what next with this story. Folks, let's talk about Mississippi. First of all, let's talk about Mississippi. On May 6th of last year, Harvey Hill was arrested in Madison County, Mississippi, for allegedly trespassing. The following day, he was dead. They said from cardiac arrest. Hill is one of 3 black folks who have died in the Madison County Detention Center in Canton, Mississippi, under suspicious circumstances. And their families, they want answers. Here was some insight as the attorney who represents them, Carlos Moore, with the Cochran firm, and Harvey Hill's sister, Cassandra Hill. Cassandra, I want to start with you. So first and foremost, your brother's arrested. He isn't dead the next day. But to have 3 people die in the same jail, that says something about that jail. Many ways, it sounds like Waller County in Texas, where Sandra Bland also died in that jail. Cassandra, go ahead.
I feel like it has to be racially motivated. Like something needs to be done because he was killed for no reason at all, for a petty misdemeanor, which, he would have been tried for, but they didn't even give him an opportunity to even, go before the judge. And I feel like something needs to be done with the officers who feel as if they can do what they want and not face punishment.
Carlos, one person dies, a second person dies. What did the sheriff say?
The sheriff has not said anything. He thinks his officers basically have followed proper procedures, but we know that Madison County is burning, and we're going to find out why they're burning. And I believe it's because of racial animus. I mean, 3 people being dead in the same year at that jail, that has not happened in any other county jail across the state.
Have you been in contact with the other families of the individuals who died?
Yes, I have been contacted by the family of Larry Thompson Sr. and Lanikia Brown, and I represent those families as well.
Where does it stand? What's next? Any response from elected officials there in this county?
I have spoken with the elected coroner of Madison County. He has not released the autopsy report. He says he only has preliminary reports, and we have not received that or the final report. And so here we are approaching the 1-year anniversary of Harvey Hill's death, and we still don't know the official cause of death. And so that's unacceptable. That tells me that something is amiss. Had it been something in their favor, they would have released the report by now. We do know that there's video of the assault, the beating while he was in handcuffs, and we're going to get our hands on that video now that the lawsuit has been filed. The county has answered the complaint, so has the sheriff. The last defendant, the jailer Ingram, was served last week, and so we're awaiting his answer. But soon, I believe by June, we'll have a lot of answers that the family does not have as of yet.
Can you talk about the use of roadblocks by the sheriff there in this county?
Yes, the ACLU filed suit on behalf of several Black individuals that live in Madison County or travel through Madison County in the earlier part of last year, saying that the sheriff is targeting and his deputies are targeting African Americans. African Americans only make up 37% of the population in Madison County. They are about 90% of the arrestees for traffic violations. And so we believe it's intentional. The ACLU believes it's intentional, and they're trying to get down to the bottom of it.
Last question for you, that is for the other families, for the folks who may have to go into that jail. What do you have to say to them? What are you telling them? Because you're dealing with obviously the death of a loved one, and no one wants to see their loved ones pass away.
Well, what I say is just pray for your family members if they have to end up going to that detention center. Not only that detention center, but anywhere, around the Madison County area. Just be on the lookout when you're on the highways, especially if you have to travel through Madison County to go to work or wherever you go. Just be careful. And I won't wish this on no one's family.
All right. We certainly thank both of you for joining us, and we certainly hope that you also receive some justice from this as well. We certainly appreciate it. Thanks a bunch.
Thanks, Roland.
All right, folks, got to go to a break real quick. I'll be back on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Hey, fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. Roland Martin Unfiltered, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And subscribe to our YouTube channel. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. See that name right there? Roland Martin Unfiltered. Like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications so when we go live, you'll know it. Hey, fam, want to check out Roland Martin Unfiltered, the blackest show on all of digital, cable, and broadcast. Check out our audio podcast. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Press play. You want to support Roland Martin Unfiltered? Be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real. It's Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. All right, folks, dueling protests in Chicago over Cook County State's Attorney Kim Foxx for her for her decision to drop charges against Justice Smollett. Chicago ordered police. They rally outside of Foxx's office today, some wearing buttons that read, "Foxx must go." There was a counter protest by the Chicago Alliance Against Racist and Political Oppression and other social justice organizations. That took place, but also Ribbon and the pastors, they also held their own rally, standing up for Kim Foxx as well. And so here is some of the groups going at one another in Chicago.
Get over it!
All right, let's talk to my panel about this. Michael Brown first. What still bothers me is that Mayor Rahm Emanuel, okay, so this case, Jussie Smollett paying back $130,000. He said nothing about these cops. Of course, them costing the city more than $700 million over the last 14 years. Chicago Fraternal Order Police, they never seem to apologize for the cops as well.
You know, Roland, this whole thing's a mess. And frankly, I don't think there are any winners at all. Everyone's a loser in this. As you saw outside the city hall today, the police are upset. Obviously, the mayor's office, Jussie Smollett, he's a loser in this. There are no winners. Ms. Foxx is clearly now a loser. The whole thing is a mess. And if the federal government gets involved and the FBI get involved and investigate, and clearly I don't call who, I just call him number 45. If number 45 really wants to bend and put the Justice Department on this, I don't know how it's going to become even more of a mess, because there's still that letter out there, and that letter that he dropped in a U.S. mailbox, that could be considered mail fraud, which is a federal crime. So we have a lot of issues that are going to continue to fester related to this. Obviously, the community is upset on both sides of the issue, just losers all over. So as long as we continue to have to fight these kind of battles in our communities about what happens in law enforcement, keep in mind, and I think a lot of people would say this, if there were a white actor that had the same kind of issue happen to them, would we be seeing the kind of protests in front of City Hall? Would we see people saying, oh, it's because he was a white actor? So we have to keep in mind now, if the shoe's on the other foot, it's a black actor who seemed to have gotten some preferential treatment. So what happens after that? It's a mess. It's going to continue to be a mess. I'd love to hear Johanna's comments.
Johanna?
Well, the fact of the matter is, I think that the state is within its right, to drop a case as sees fit, right? If there aren't, for whatever reason, the state decided to not pursue this case. And people, because of the evidence that was provided to the public, people are now questioning, why did the state take this position? And those are valid questions, right? But I think that we just have to allow the system to take its course and do what it does best. It's not a perfect system, but it's our system, and we have to allow it to work.
Yeah, but here's the issue that I have. These cops, they want this to be a one-way street. They want to challenge Kim Foxx. They want to trash Kim Foxx. But they don't want to be held accountable when one of their own commits a wrongdoing. $712 million in taxpayer funds spent over the last 14 years. That is a problem.
And I concur 100%, but I think part of it is, we have to change some of our laws. And not only change our laws, we have to have funds. We have to appropriate funds to ensure that we are actually implementing those various laws, right? And also have a diverse group of folks who are judges, who are prosecutors, who are running the police departments in various states across the United States. So the entire system has to be remodeled, and there needs to be a complete reform of our judicial system, and it starts from the police department all the way to the judges, right? So again, these are definitely concerns that we have to address. Our system is not perfect, and as a society, it's our job to ensure that we have a better system. We put a lot of these people in office, right? So if we're not content, if we're not happy with the work that they're doing, if they're not executing on behalf of the people, we get rid of them. That's why we have elections. Now, some folks are appointed, right? But there is an election in place for a lot of these positions. So we have to be fully engaged in the election process.
Yeah, but you have, of course, we don't get to elect these police officers or the police union leadership.
Absolutely.
And they love to complain by not getting their way, but they simply are unable to accept their own wrongdoing and what they actually do to commit crimes against the people. And
but
so
the police chiefs are
we'll continue to see what happens.
But the chief of police is appointed by the mayor, right? The chief of police is appointed by the mayor. Who is the mayor that we're putting in power, right, in office? So we have to look at those things, because everything is interconnected. It's all about politics. If you're not happy, get involved with the political process.
Oh, I agree. But the point, Michael, I'm saying is this here to the Chicago police. This ain't Burger King. You can't have it your way. And you can't keep running your mouth complaining about Kim Foxx if you're unwilling to own up to the wrongdoing of cops in that city.
Absolutely.
Well, and you and I have talked about this on how many occasions, Roland, relative to these kind of things. Until the standard changes in courtrooms relative to police conduct, we're going to continue to have these kind of conversations because they are protected. They're protected by the law. We may not like it, but whether it's different legislative people in office, as you mentioned, Johanna, Roland, as you've mentioned before, holding people accountable, until we change the standard of how police are treated in a courtroom, we're going to continue to have these conversations.
All right, folks, this weekend we were in Los Angeles for the 50th NAACP Image Awards. And of course, the first time it was held at the Dolby Theater. Again, it was founded, its first one was 50 years ago. And so there were some big winners, of course, at the Image Awards. Let's go ahead and pull that graphic up, folks. We have, well, first and foremost, we have a group of winners, plus we also on the red carpet. Entertainer of the Year was Beyonce. Of course, Black Panther won Outstanding Motion Picture. If Beale Street Could Talk, Outstanding Independent Motion Picture. Blackish won for Outstanding Comedy Series for the 5th year in a row. Sam Jackson won for Outstanding Character Voice-Over Performance for The Incredibles 2. Say Her Name, The Life and Death of Sandra Bland, won Outstanding Documentary that aired on HBO. The Outstanding New Artist was Ella May. This Is America by Childish Gambino took the award for Outstanding Music Video Visual Album. Black Panther, the album, won for Outstanding Soundtrack Compilation. And Becoming Michelle Obama won Outstanding Literary Work for Biography and Autobiography. And also a special on Michelle Obama won on the OWN network as well. And so we were, of course, on the red carpet. And so here are some of those interviews, the folks we talked to there on Sunset Boulevard. Black love, what it feels like. Again, it's totally different when you get it from fans than anybody else.
Well, you know what? It's like, I think when you're looking for validation outside, it's okay, but the real validation is from when you get it within. And so Black love, to get it within your own community, it's just a beautiful thing, and I'm so grateful for these awards because that's what they represent.
And of course, you've also been getting a little more love with Empire.
Yes, yes, I have get a little. Yes, I played Terry on Empire and doing a love story on Empire, so you'll see.
No, I know, I watch.
Yeah, oh, okay,
I watch, and you dealing with the crazy one.
I know. Touch, we don't use crazy.
No, he crazy.
He a little crazy.
He used to be Touch. Now he crazy.
He's I see.
You trying to bring him back to Touch.
I see the beauty in everyone. That's what love is. It's just seeing the good.
She's very diplomatic.
No, but it's seeing the good in everyone, right?
Absolutely.
Isn't that what you want?
I guess.
That's what I want.
What's going on?
I'm good.
What's happening?
How you doing?
What's going on? Y'all good? Y'all chilling?
Man, we chilling. Can we be on the show? Can we be on the Roland Martin show? I love
chest hairs out.
I love. Woo!
Only if you want.
We love. Hey man, listen. Can I just say something? Roland Martin. Seriously, man. I know you're doing the interviews and all that, but I'm gonna take the mic for a minute. One of the most iconic people that we have had in this generation. Philanthropy, business, brain, thinking, owning his own way. We love this brother, man. So everybody tune into his show. Please support him, man. 1,000%. It's not every day that we have people that think outside the box, want to do their own thing, make their own way. This man is not working for anyone. He's working for himself, man. So today I just want to say, man, I salute you, brother. Thank you, man.
Neil, real quick here. First of all, when you going to be back on the screen?
Back on the screen. Well, I'm on the small screen right now. Step Up High Water is the name of the TV series. You'll find it on YouTube Red. It's available right now. We are in season 2. 11 million views in 7 days. Ain't a bad thing. So be looking out for that. World of Dance is on NBC every Sunday. So I'm in your living room every Sunday. If you're watching NBC, that's me, Jennifer Lopez, Derek Huff, and basically the Olympics of dance shows. Other than that, I'm in the studio right now putting together my 8th studio album and being a daddy and a husband. Damn it, that's what it's about.
So the big screen. Anything coming your way?
I mean, we got some things in the works. I don't like to count chickens before.
I understand.
You know what I mean? So we got some things in the work. You know, everything in LA takes 3 conversations. We at the second conversation. And when the third one happens, we'll let y'all know.
All right, brother, it's always good seeing you. Keep handling your business. All right, thanks a lot. Cree Davis, Bobby Brown story. Come on over here. Babe, I see everybody. So, y'all, we at the dinner last night, and she's like, I'm a vegetarian, and she was literally stealing carrots off other people's plates.
Don't tell that lie.
I told her, I said, eat that damn chicken. Go ahead and eat that chicken.
And then he said, I'm going to feed you some gumbo.
Right. I was like, damn, it's going to have meat in it.
And crawfish and shrimp and sausage.
And do it sausage. And then she was like, oh, hell, I'm going to forget I'm a vegetarian. See, oh, yeah, I'm going to tell all the secrets. I'm going to tell everybody. You happy to be here?
I am. It's a beautiful day here in Hollywood. I'm excited.
Well, look, last night's show was great. This is going to be fabulous, of course. Congresswoman Maxine Waters, Tom Joyner, Jay-Z being honored. And so, and then, of course, we got some crazy movies that are going to be up for it.
Yes, I'm excited.
And y'all won last night for the Bobby Brown story.
We did, yay!
And Bobby was there, and he behaved.
He did behave. I'm very proud.
Well, it's good seeing you. Enjoy the show. We're going to have a little fun.
Thank you.
All right, and so I'll be looking for you dancing at the after party.
Okay.
All right, and go eat a piece of meat first. Eat some protein. Good seeing you. We got Congresswoman Maxine Waters, who's been one of the honorees, so we can bring her over here. Bless you. Congresswoman, how you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing wonderful. I'm so honored. I'm getting recognized here this
You
evening.
are.
Yes, and I am so happy.
Well, look, it's great that you're getting recognized. You've been giving folks hell, and that's a good thing.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep on giving folks hell.
And also, and I appreciate the Black Caucus standing with us at the National Association of Black Journalists, telling CNN where your black executives.
That's right, absolutely. I have created a subcommittee on diversity and inclusion, and we're looking at both the public and the private sector. We've got to open up these opportunities, and certainly in the media and with CNN.
Well, look, we look forward to it because, again, they've been giving us lip service, and it's time for them to get put on Front Street.
We got it. We're with you.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Look forward to tonight.
See you inside.
All right, absolutely. I want all of y'all to know. Now, all these people, all these media people, are letting her walk by, but we know who she is, and so we are going to talk to her. In 1969, the Image Awards started, and you said, "Let's do this."
My name is Tony Vaz. In 1967, the Image Award was created, and I am the creator of the Image Award.
Did you think it would get to be all of this?
No, I never thought that. But it wasn't easy, but I never thought of it.
How many were at the first show?
But the first show was in 1967. I have the papers, and I don't know. I really don't know.
But when you look at the movies and the television shows, and when you look at the directors, just this week, Jordan Peele has the #1 movie in the country. It surpassed 100 million. This award show was about showing black representation in television and film.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. But if you want me to give you the year, I want you to know, first of all, I'm 97.
Yes.
I try to remember what I can. You see, but everything is written on the paper. I have the official papers when it started and everything on that order.
Well, we appreciate you doing this. And again, I saw all these media folks just letting you walk by and said, no, my folks going to know who she is, and they need to understand that.
I thank you very much.
Yo, Derek Johnson, NAACP. What's going on, Derek? Looking all clean here. Look at the blue tuxedo. Y'all, this Mississippi clean right here.
With a Detroit twist. Now, let's get it right now. Let's get it right. Yeah.
First time, this at the Dolby Theater. It's been the beginning of the last several years. You're now president, CEO. What do you want this to represent now and going forward, with this being the 50th year?
Well, it's important for us as African-American people to celebrate us, right? If we define who we are and hold true to that definition, no one can marginalize us. And understanding that Frederick Douglass understood that in the 19th century, and we must continue with this advocacy today.
And one of the things you talk about, you mentioned last night in your speech, getting the power of the medium. This is America's greatest export. And people make determinations about folks based on what they see, movies and television. And historically, it has not been good for us.
You know, you think about how we're seen on the big screen is how we're treated in the street, but how we're seen globally is how other nations and people respect us as a community.
You got to pick who you wanted to honor. You chose Jay-Z. Why?
You know, he represents the 360-degree reality of entertainment. It's not only what we do on the recording and in front of the screen, it's about the business acumen that he represents. And so we must acknowledge that strength as we continue to grow additional business folks in this community.
All right, folks. Leon Russell, chairman of the NAACP Board of Directors. Hey, man.
Hey, Roland, how are you?
I'm all good, all good. 50th Image Awards.
50th Image Awards. We've done this for 50 years. First of all, protecting the image of black folk in America, fighting to make sure that that portrayal is accurate, that it's not something that is a caricature of who we are, but that it talks about us as a people. We've done it in the electronic media, we've done it in literature, we're doing it on the motion picture screen, on the television screen. This is important for our people.
Well, this is the point that I also make to folks. That is, when you look at the broadcasts, they see the movies and the television shows. But the reality is, the Image Award, your categories are books, whether the new authors, children's stories as well. So it goes beyond, again, entertainment.
Right. I think the literature categories, which obviously don't make it onto the live broadcast, are just as important as the motion picture and the television categories, because those are the people who are educating our children. They're providing that literary background, that foundation that our kids need. And so it's important for us to recognize those folks as well.
Now, obviously, we have an election next year, and so you guys are going to be very busy, but already busy with lawsuits, with challenges, things along those lines.
Absolutely. It's our job to make sure that everybody who is eligible to vote gets to vote. It's also our job, when I think about North Carolina and its 9th congressional district, we have to educate black folks about the importance of their vote, what it means, that they can't just hand somebody their ballot, that this is their voice. You don't give your voice away.
That's it. Well, man, always good to see you. Congratulations, and keep giving them hell.
Thank you, and we will.
All right. Appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. The brother, this is the Black Benjamin Button.
You know, I got to do it, man. I'm just trying to keep up with you, good brother. How are you?
Look, all good, brother. How
you looking good as always.
I'm just chilling.
You keep it together. You always keep it together, bro.
I'm just trying to give him a little hell. All good with you, man?
Man, life is beautiful, man. I'm happy because we're here. This is the 50th, year of celebrating black excellence all the way around, man. And, you know, Power is nominated for Best Series. My good brother Omari Hardwick is for Best Actor. He's been nominated, as well as Naturi for Best Actress. It's a good time, man. There's so many surprises tonight, man. I'm just happy to be here.
And I can't wait for y'all last season.
Yes. That's what they say. We'll see.
All right. Well, baby, good seeing you.
Always good to see
you
you.
Take care. I appreciate it. The highest one. Go ahead and steal 2.5.
All right. It's live. They can't. What they gonna do?
Can't do a damn thing.
I'm retiring. So.
All they gotta do is wait. And they start playing the music. You like, keep playing the music. I ain't going nowhere. And you're right. You retiring. What the hell they gonna do? Dock your pay?
Right.
Can't dock my pay. Cause see, your last day, my last day.
It's kind of messed up.
Yeah, it is. All right, folks. Big awards given out. Entertainer of the Year, of course, was Beyonce and Jay-Z won for the President's Award. Here are their speeches.
I grew up believing I could do anything, that I can accomplish anything because of those strong women in my house. And thank you. So I'd like to dedicate this award to those beautiful women. I'd like to dedicate this award to a beautiful woman in my life. It's Beyonce, just because of the white suit. I really, yeah.
I'm so honored. Okay, I wrote this down. Okay, Regina King, I love you so much. You've taught us patience, persistence, and how to be masterful in your craft. Chadwick Boseman is teaching children to dream and to see themselves as kings. LeBron James has taught us the strength of all forms in leading by example and providing education for our kids. Ryan Coogler tells our stories in a way that celebrates our history and proves that we do have power at the box office. And I'm honored to be included among all of you and to be a part of a vital, thriving, beautiful community. Thank you so much, NAACP. God bless you. I hope y'all had a great night. Thank you.
All right, folks. So that is it. First of all, I want to thank Michael and Johanna for being on my panel today. I want to thank all of you for watching. Sorry about the technical difficulties. These things happen when it comes to television or live streaming, but we got through it and made it work. I will be back in studio tomorrow in Washington, D.C. I've been on the road in New York, Los Angeles, and Houston now for the last 5 days. I'm here in Houston because yesterday at Our Lady Star of the Sea Catholic Church, there was a service honoring my grandparents. They were founders of that church. They went door to door talking to people in the neighborhood there to launch that church. The first meeting to found it was in their living room, and so there was a special service dedicated to them. And so all of our family was there to honor Clarence and Imelda Lamont. So that's one reason. That's why I am here in Houston, and that's the church that I grew up in, and so certainly had to be there to pay my respects to them and the other 48 founders of that church in Houston's Clinton Park, Galena Park area. All right, folks, we want you to support Roland Martin Unfiltered. You saw, of course, us there on the red carpet, broadcasted live from the NAACP on consecutive days. We've got some amazing events coming up as well. And so we want you to support us. All you have to do is go to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com to join our Bring the Funk fan club. You can you can support us via Cash App, PayPal, as well as with Square. You can be a monthly donor. You can be a yearly donor. This is all about us controlling our narrative and telling our story, us being able to deliver that. And so that's one of the things that we certainly would love for you to do, to join our Bring the Funk fan club. And so again, as I said, I'll see you guys back in Washington, D.C. tomorrow. We'll stay on top of the news and calling it like we see it, calling those out who need to be called out, supporting those who need to be supported. Y'all take care. Holla!